Hey, what's up everybody? It is Chris, and today I wanted to show you the view here in Lahaina, Maui. Pretty much the famous shopping area, old school whaler port. Pretty much everything you think of when you think of old island town. But again, beautiful views of the local islands and lots to do with great weather. But today I wanted to talk about something that I learned yesterday, which is actually really interesting, which is something to do with prepping that I had never thought of, primarily because I never knew anything about the item which would be a prepper's dream, and that is coconuts, or rather the coconut tree. I've never really thought too much about coconuts because when you think of them, you think of, island fare. You think of the coconut itself and, kind of, coconut milk, coconut oil, I guess, and maybe a few other things. You think of coconut water. So those things come to mind. But from going through the coconut tour, I actually learned that coconuts are pretty much the prepper's dream if you could get them to grow where you live. Apparently they can grow in southern Florida, but that's pretty much the only other place in the United States that they're known to be able to grow. But with the coconut, not only obviously does it provide fresh water that's loaded with electrolytes and things like that, but you can eat the meat. That's another, and there's a billion things that you can do with the meat. You can cook it, you can grind it up, you can turn it into shreds. You can grind it down to take the milk, the cream, and the oil. Also, there's huge differences between the old coconuts, the mature ones, and the young ones, which is pretty cool. So, depending on what type of coconuts you have available to you, you can use them for different things. Not only that, but also the coconut shell, the coconut housing. So, because the coconut's basically a seed pod, the inner seed is very sturdy. So once you take the actual coconut meat out of it, you could use it for cups, you could use it for tools, you could use it for all kinds of things. It's actually really, really durable. And then also the coconut fibers are really, really durable, and they make really good tinder or cordage, which is very interesting. I forget the other term that they use, some other material that you can make out of coconuts. I think they called it cordylite, and they use it for like string. I guess they have it at Home Depot for like netting, I guess it is, things like that. But apparently it's like super useful and gaining a lot of traction. Also, what they were saying was that the fibers, they're learning a new way to make it into like a durable fabric for like wearing for like board shorts, that kind of thing. So basically having a coconut tree, or rather you would want two, because they can't self-pollinate. So you need two. Even though they have the male and female organ on each tree, they can't pollinate themselves. So you need at least two. But if you had a couple, I mean, think of all the different boxes that checks off the prepper's list. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. And like, you wouldn't think of something like that, like the coconut. I mean, obviously on the islands they would know that because that's all they had. So they had to figure out, what you could do with it. But I mean, it's not even the coconut itself that does all of this. It's also the leaves. They're actually really, really strong, and they're really pliable when they're green. But what the natives did was they would dry them out, and they become really hard and sturdy. So you could make shelters out of them. You could make, hats and things to wear. You can even make like shoes and sandals out of them. It's crazy. But of course, like, it would take like a native people to discover, if that's all you had, you would really find out all the things that could be done from it. But something else cool that I learned here in Maui on the coconut tour was that there really are no coconuts from Maui here in Maui. Most of the coconut water, the coconut that's used in like the restaurants and all that, it's all from the South Pacific, and like countries like Vietnam, and like all kinds of weird places where these coconuts come from. And you would think on the islands like this, they have a ready, steady supply. They actually don't. It's funny because on the tour they were saying that most Hawaiians really don't know the utility of the coconut. They don't grow up with it anymore, like being taught that, you know, how useful it can be and all the applications that it has. So that's crazy. Like it's crazy to me to think that this is right here, like available to you, and you don't even know all the things that it could do, especially when it's such a big part of your history. So it was very interesting to learn that. And the coconut farm here, it's actually really small. It was probably no bigger than 60, 70 yards long, and about the width of a football field, maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, they're really trying to like start a movement here with using actual Hawaiian grown coconuts and things, because the Hawaiian coconut water, even the coconuts that they sell here in Hawaii are from other places in the South Pacific. They're not from Maui. They're not from Hawaii, which is crazy. It's crazy. But I think, you know, that really taught me that as a, you know, if you're a prepper, it's something that you'd never think about utilizing and all of the uses that could come from it. But if you did, I mean, the possibilities are endless of all the things that it could provide you with. Again, you'd probably need two, because if you only had one, they'd die because it can't self-germinate. But anything, you know, if you had a couple of them in your yard, I mean, in the SHTF scenario, you have food, you have water, you have building supplies, you have tinder for fires, you have, you know, material for clothing and cordage, and I mean, it checks off a lot of boxes. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I thought, wow, to the stocking community, a lot of which are preppers, that's probably going to be news, because they don't think of things like that. I wouldn't have known that you know, that the coconut could provide so much. And it's funny, like I said, that even here in the islands, that the local population, the Hawaiians, the native people, they don't really, again, most kids don't know about it because it's just not useful anymore, which is crazy. But I thought I would share that knowledge. At least it's something, food for thought. You know, everywhere you go, you should be learning something, whether it's, you know, learning about the place or the people or the culture, or even little things like that. Coconuts. Who knew that was the prepper's dream? Anyway, that's it for today. I will see you soon when I get back to the mainland. Take care.